I started with ICC with two daughters who were, actually one's an introvert, one's an extrovert, but they were both extremely shy.
I was invited to an ICC event, a Flood the Five. It just led me to seek for my children better communication skills.
When I first heard that I was doing ICC, I freaked out. I did not want to do it. I told my parents, I was like, what are you trying to do to me, you know, because my biggest fear is public speaking.
I had my oldest daughter that was in 5th or 6th grade crying when we sat inside a fast food restaurant and us parents asked her to ask for a glass of water to the gentleman behind the counter, and she was just so fearful. She was crying that she did not want to go and ask for water.
3 John 1:4 says, I have no greater joy than to hear that my children walk in the truth. And the converse is probably true. There is no greater disappointment than to hear of a child who has abandoned the truth and made a train wreck of his or her life. My family and I were invited to a CFC conference in Napa, California, and it was there, I believe, I found an answer to this threat that we face.
I saw young people full of confidence, speaking passionately about topics that they really believed in, and communicating their heart with skill and conviction.
First couple months was extremely difficult and the most challenging thing I have ever had to do. And then kind of towards the end, it got easier every time, and I loved it.
Our experience is a little different than most. My wife Shannon and I were the founders of Chapter Stand. Little by little it starts getting more and more advanced, and then you start seeing what some of the older kids are doing, and then what a lot of these younger kids are doing, and the messages they're coming, and when they start to really figure out where the messages should be coming from, really coming out of their heart.
We went over to Trader Joe's and she walked in, and I sent her in by herself, and she came out and she said, Mom, I feel different. She says, I feel more confident, I feel like people don't scare me, I can talk to adults that I don't know, or I'm beginning to.
I believe God put me with my question in that room with the answer that I needed. I knew at that moment, on that day, in that room, that ICC would become a part of my family's life.
I feel like the community was the biggest player in me getting through the really hard weeks, because they were so encouraging and I felt really lifted up. It really did change my life.
I just see nothing but lots of potential, lots of growth, and really I see the future in ICC, and I really like what I see.
This is my story.
This is my story.
This is my story.
This is my story.
This is my story.